How the hell are you, everybody? Did I hear you say awesome? Well, we're getting there, slowly but surely. Cheers to you. I hope you've made a cuppa to sit and enjoy today's lesson, lesson number 3. Might be a little bit long and a little bit confusing, but we're getting there gradually. So cheers to you. Get your cuppa ready and come back and let us talk. Hope you enjoyed lesson number 2, which was all about beliefs. Today, lesson number 3 is why beliefs are important. Everyone that I've spoken to, successful people in this world, believed something different to what I believed, which is why they saw no success in their lives. And success doesn't mean lots and lots of money and houses and being the wealthiest man on earth. The best definition of success that I've come across is the progressive realization of a predetermined worthy ideal. Wow. Have you grasped that yet? The progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Beliefs. We need to have them in our lives. And there's no right and wrong beliefs when it comes to you doing something that benefits you and others. Yes, there are wrong beliefs if you say, you know what, I believe that I should rob that guy, because you're not doing well to yourself and to that person. You have to make someone suffer in order for you to do right. So in my world, that type of belief is not a right belief. But as long as your belief has to do with the good of something for you and for others, there is no wrong belief for that. All of those beliefs are right. Now, why are beliefs important? Remember I said to you in our last lesson that I'm going to show you how, if you have the belief for something, you are able to bring it into your life. Well, this is what I wanted to talk to you about today. Because very often when you have a belief for something that other people cannot understand, why you could possibly have that belief, they think you're crazy. Very often people come in my life and they say, Johnny, why don't you start facing reality? Well, let's talk about reality for a sec. What is reality? I like to tell a story, a little parable, of 4 blind men and the elephant. You see, 4 blind men were walking one day and they came across an elephant. And the first blind man, he grabbed the elephant by the tusk. And he says, so this is an elephant. I know what an elephant is. An elephant is like a very, very powerful water hose. Now the second blind man who had stumbled on the elephant's leg, he says, no, man. He says, you're wrong. An elephant is like a tree stump, a tree trunk. The third blind man in the meantime, he stumbled on the elephant's ear. As he fell down, he grabbed the elephant's ear. And he says, what are you guys talking about? An elephant is like a very strong piece of leather. And the fourth blind man, who was a little bit further, he grabbed the elephant's tail. And he says, you're trying to trick me now, aren't you? Because an elephant is like a rope. So I ask you now, which one of the 4 blind men was right? Is it possible that they were all right? Of course it is. You see, each one was right based on the perception of the elephant that they had. And it's exactly the same with our reality, my friends. You see, in our society, we see people at different levels of success. And the reason why that is because each one has a different perspective of reality around him. As we said the other day, some people have the belief that it's easy to make money in this world, while others have the belief that it's very, very difficult to make money in this world. So who's right and who's wrong? I say that they're both right. So don't come to me again with reality and say, Johnny, you've got to start facing reality. Because let me tell you about something about reality and beliefs. You see, beliefs are, I believe, are the foundations of our society. It's what controls us to think, or the way we think. And the way we think is responsible for all these beautiful things that we see around us. Take the Wright brothers, many, many years ago, who believed that they could get something to fly in the air. And here we are, in 2020. And we can fly anywhere we want in the world. Because of their belief. And everyone thought they were crazy. What about Alexander Graham Bell? Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone. Well, he believed that he could get people to communicate from here to another part of the country. What do we have today? Our mobile phones. That's a big jump from Alexander Graham Bell. But it took one person to start a thought, a belief, and everybody was against him. And look what we have today. What about Thomas Edison? That poor guy had a belief that he could create a light bulb. Do you know how many experiments it took him to do that? 10,000. And when they asked him, he said, Mr. Bell, he says, you realized that you failed 9,999 times to create that light bulb. And he says, no, I did not. I found 9,999 ways of not doing it. You see, that's a difference between someone who has belief, has faith in what they believe, and someone who doesn't. It's all those people who didn't have belief, who didn't know the power of belief, that didn't believe these three inventors. So why are beliefs important? And how can we bring them into our life? If a belief controls the way we think, and we know that our thoughts are things, they are energy. And we know that they're energy because we can measure it. Sure, you can measure it. And you all know about this. You've all seen it in the movies, and you've all seen it on television, and some of you have even had a brain scan done before, where they put all those electrodes on you, or they put you in a MRI, and they tell you to think certain ways. And you can actually physically see on the screen different parts of the brain firing. What do you think it is that makes them fire? It's energy. So a thought is energy. And energy has an electromagnetic field. Does it make sense now? That your thought has got an electromagnetic field? Well, guess what? This universe is full of thoughts, ideas, circumstances. All these things are energies, and they're electromagnetic. And what we need to do is to bring them into our life. You see, our life is like a little radar screen, similar to the screen where you're looking at me right now. And the thing about radar screens is they tell us what's in our range, but they don't tell us what is not in our range. You see, although you're seeing a blank screen at the moment, you know that I exist, right? The the only way to bring me into your screen, into your radar screen, is to say something that I like to bring me there. And with thoughts, with ideas, the only way we can bring them into our radar screen, into our life, into our understanding, is to actually think in the same frequency that they are. So what do I mean? Take an example of a radio. When you tune into a channel, do you know how you tune into a channel? You send a frequency out similar to the frequency that you want to receive. And what that does, that frequency actually attracts it because it puts out a magnetic field similar to that frequency that exists around us, in the universe, or in the range of that radio station. So the only way we can get frequencies to come into our existence is to transmit a thought similar to that. For example, let's say you want to buy a car and you don't have the money. What's the first thing that comes into your mind? I'm going to phone a bank and get a loan. And you phone the bank and the bank says, sorry, I can't give you a loan for a car. There are so many other things that exist as far as loans are concerned. And the difference between them is the risk. Now, the more riskier it is for someone to lend you money, he charges you a little more to have it. But it's a possibility. There's also other possibilities. You can borrow from a friend or a family member. There are endless things out there. There are also things that you cannot see, you don't know about, and I don't know about either. Now guess what? The only way to start seeing these things is to start believing that they exist and start transmitting your thoughts that there is something out there. I need that something out there. I'm going to find that something out there. Similarly, if you say, well, there's no way I can do this, there's absolutely no way, that is what you're transmitting out there. So if there's something out there that's going to suit you and help you to buy that motor vehicle, you're saying to it, you know what, you don't exist, stay there, I'm not interested in you. That's how our thoughts control what we get in our life. Now please don't misunderstand this and think that if you want a house, you're going to say, I'm going to have a house and you'll have it just like that. It doesn't work like that. Because belief means that you have this burning desire because you know that something is out there. And a burning desire is a high frequency of this thought. So high that you're willing to sacrifice your sanity to tell other people that, you know what, I'm getting a car next week. Don't know how I'm going to pay for it, but I know it's going to happen. And you know what? It will. Somehow it will. But sometimes in our life, my friends, it so happens that things don't work out the way we want to. And we think we failed. We haven't failed. It's very, very, very hard to fail. It's not an easy thing. I remember once a very dear friend of mine broke up with her boyfriend. And I saw that she was sad and depressed. And I went up to her and I said, Can I offer a little word of wisdom? And she said, sure, Johnny. I said, you've broken up with your boyfriend and you're sad, I know that. But imagine this. If you were living in a house that you had that wasn't exactly the house that you wanted, and you had the opportunity to build your dream home, what is the first thing you had to do on your property to build your dream home? Could it be that you have to demolish your old one? And she said, yeah, you're right. I said, well, consider your situation this, that you had to demolish your old relationship in order to make space for that dream relationship that you're looking for. It wasn't but 2 months or 3 months that this young lady met a guy in the most unusual situation. A guy that a year and a half, actually 2.5 years later, she got married to. So why I tell you the story is, don't despair if you put all the effort into believing that something's going to happen and the opposite happens. Because if you give up, you are saying to that belief, go away. I'm not interested. Persist. Think of Thomas Edison. Persist. Because eventually, if you continue persisting and you have that faith and that belief, you're going to attract into your life things that are outside of your vision. And by that, I mean you will attract the people, the circumstances, and the situations that are necessary to bring those things into your existence. And right now is a very good example with what we are going through in this world. There are financial issues out there. There are, where do I begin? Mental issues out there. There's people in quarantine who are going crazy. Do me a favor, never ever give up. Don't look at what is. Rather, look at what can be. Because it's that belief that's going to bring the people, the circumstances, the situations that are going to get us out of this. We're doing pretty well in Australia in this pandemic. Don't ruin that thought. Don't change what you're doing. The only thing you can change is the way you think. Because remember, if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And it's not an instant click of the fingers that you're going to see the results. The results are gradual. But you need to have that faith. So remember, believe in what you want. Because if you believe in what you don't want, that's what you're going to get. Be careful what you wish for. You've heard that before. Think positive. You've heard that before. Now today you've learned the science behind it. So my friends, now you understand why I told you to have a cup of coffee. Because you're going to need to absorb this. And don't despair. Spare a thought, I'm in the same situation at the moment. And you know what? About 3 weeks ago I lost faith. I actually lost it. And it took a very, very dear friend from an organization that we are members of to flick that switch in my head that said, hey, you need to practice what you preach. And I said to you in my first lesson, doesn't matter if you're there or if you're there, wherever you are in life, never give up. Always persist. And what I want you to do is give this lesson, spread it to all your friends. It's free. And it's not wrong. Try it out. Persist. Believe and achieve. Because remember, beliefs is what is going to be the foundation of our society. The way we think from now on, whatever route that thought is going to take. Never give up. Never ever give up. Always have faith. And don't forget to spread the word to as many people as you want. That's the end of lesson 3. I'm looking forward to have a chat with you, to continue on this attraction of things that we want, to bring people, circumstances, and situations into our life with lesson 4 in the next day or two.